Part 1. Galactic Crisis. In the cold void of space, a fierce war raged across the stars. The Galactic Alliance, a union of dozens of spacefaring civilizations, fought desperately against the relentless onslaught of the Zorgan Empire. The insectoid Zorgans, with their advanced biotechnology and hive-mind coordination, had already consumed a third of the galaxy, assimilating or exterminating every sapient species they encountered. Grand Admiral Zilara Vakir, a tall, elegant Lyrian with shimmering silver skin, stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Concordia. Her iridescent eyes scanned the holographic star maps with growing despair. Red icons representing Zorgan forces swarmed across system after system, while the blue of the Alliance fleet grew increasingly sparse. "Status report," she demanded, her melodic voice strained. "Admiral, the Zorgans have broken through the Arcturus line," reported her first officer, a stocky, red-furred Kragan named Torv. "The 7th Fleet is in full retreat. Estimated losses at 60%. Zilara's heart sank. The Arcturus line had been their last major defense before the core worlds. She had hoped the new Lyrian plasma lances and Kragan singularity bombs would be enough to hold the line. But Zorgan adaptation had been too rapid, their numbers too overwhelming. "And what of the Corva system?" she asked quietly, dreading the answer. Torv's ears drooped. "Scouts report the planet has been fully infested. The Zorgans, they used some new kind of nanoweapon. The entire ecosystem was devoured and converted into more war forms within days. No survivors." The Admiral closed her eyes, whispering a prayer for the billion souls of Corva, now lost to the swarm. When she opened them again, they shone with grim resolve. "Send an emergency summons to the Alliance Council. We need to consider extreme options." As Torv rushed to relay her orders and the Concordia prepared for the jump to Alliance headquarters, Zilara stared out at the stars, wondering how many would soon be extinguished by the ever-growing darkness of the Zorgan Empire. A day later, in the heart of the Alliance capital world Viraxia, the council chamber was in uproar. Representatives from over 20 species argued, shouted, and even came to blows as panic and desperation overtook decorum. "The Zorgans will devour us all. We must sue for peace while we still can." "Peace? They don't make peace. They make mulch." Grand Counselor Merak Torn, an elderly Viraxian with dark green scales and a crown of horns, slammed his staff on the chamber floor, the resounding boom shocking the assembly into silence. "Enough. Panic and infighting will only hasten our doom. Grand Admiral Vakir has called this emergency session for a reason. Let us hear what she has to say." Zilara nodded gratefully to the counselor and stepped forward, her silver uniform glinting under the chamber lights. "Esteemed counselors, I will not mince words. The Galactic Alliance stands upon the precipice of annihilation. The Zorgans have adapted to every strategy, every weapon we have deployed. Their forces now outnumber ours 5-1, and they are pushing inexorably towards the core worlds." She paused, letting the grim reality sink in. "We need a new strategy, something completely unexpected, or else we will fall, just as so many before us have fallen to the swarm." "What do you propose, Admiral?" asked Counselor Zin of the Kragan Empire. "We have already devoted all our resources to this war effort." Zilara took a deep breath. "There may be one hope left to us, an ace in the hole that the Zorgans know nothing about." She nodded to her intel officer, who brought up a new display. A blue-green world appeared, and garden planet that some counselors recognized from long-range surveys. "Counselors, allow me to introduce Earth, the human wildcard." The council chamber fell silent as the alien representatives stared at the unfamiliar world and the strange bipedal creatures shown walking its surface. Most had only heard of humans in passing, as an emerging species just beginning to explore their own star system. "Humans," scoffed Counselor Zin. "How could they help? Our records show they've barely developed fusion power and still fight wars amongst themselves. They're millennia behind us." Admiral Vaker held up a hand. That's what we thought as well, until recently. She nodded to her intel officer again, and the display shifted, showing a hidden human outpost built into an asteroid. Strange, angular ships of exotic design could be seen docked within. This was taken by one of our stealth probes less than a year ago. It appears the humans have been busy, and very good at hiding their true capabilities. The display shifted again to show schematics for advanced human weapons and technologies. Plasma cannons, antimatter torpedoes, phased cloaking arrays, even something labeled psionic amplifiers. A low murmur of shock and disbelief spread through the chamber. Grand Counselor Merrick leaned forward, his aged eyes sharp. Are you suggesting, Admiral, that these humans have been deliberately concealing their advancement from the rest of the galaxy? Zilara nodded grimly. That's exactly what I'm suggesting, Counselor. And there's more. The display now showed analysis of human art, entertainment, and cultural artifacts. Images of humans battling alien invasions, exploring the stars, and founding galactic empires flashed by. Humanity has a deep cultural fascination with the idea of not just encountering alien life, but coming into conflict with it. And in those conflicts, they always imagine themselves as the underdogs who nevertheless triumph through ingenuity, tenacity, and sheer unpredictability. They've been mentally preparing themselves for a galactic war for centuries. The counselors looked at each other uneasily. The idea of a species actually desiring conflict with aliens was utterly foreign to the cooperative, consensus-building ethos of the Alliance. So what are you proposing, Admiral? Asked Marak, although he had a sinking feeling he already knew. Zilara took a deep breath. I propose we break our non-interference laws and initiate first contact with the humans. We need their help, their unique way of thinking, if we hope to have any chance of defeating the Zorgans. The Council erupted into arguing once more. Some decried the idea as a violation of everything the Alliance stood for. Others insisted there was no choice left. Finally, Merrick raised his staff for silence. Admiral Vaker has a point. We face extinction if something does not change. Let us put it to a vote. All in favor of initiating contact with the humans. One by one, talons, pseudopods, and appendages of all kinds raised in assent. The motion passed, narrowly. Very well, said Merrick heavily. Admiral Vaker, you are authorized to take a diplomatic team to Earth and petition the humans for aid. Let us hope they are as resourceful as you believe. As the Admiral and her team prepared for the fateful journey, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change forever, for good or ill. The wild cards of Earth were about to be thrown into the game. Earth's secret. Admiral Vaker's sleek diplomatic shuttle. The Nova Ray streaked towards the blue-green jewel of Earth. As they approached the planet, Zilara couldn't help but marvel at the sheer variety of landscapes and biomes visible, even from orbit. Lush green forests, golden deserts, glittering megacities. The humans' homeworld seemed to embody the diversity and adaptability of the species itself. We're being hailed, reported the comm officer, a slender, blue-skinned Alarian. Audio and visual. Zilara straightened her uniform and faced the view screen. Put it through. The screen flickered to life, revealing a face that Zilara instantly recognized from the intelligence reports. Dark skin, close-cropped hair, and piercing brown eyes that seemed to bore right through her. Fleet Admiral Sasha Ivanova, Supreme Commander of Earth's Space Forces. Greetings, Admiral Vaker, said Ivanova in perfect Alliance standard, her voice cool but not unfriendly. Welcome to Earth. To what do we owe the pleasure of the Galactic Alliance's first official visit? Zilara was momentarily thrown. She had expected the humans to be surprised, even alarmed by their sudden arrival. But Ivanova acted as if she had been expecting them. The reports were right. The humans knew far more than they had let on. She recovered quickly. Thank you, Admiral Ivanova. I come on behalf of the Alliance Council with an urgent proposition. one that could determine the fate of the entire galaxy. Ivanova's expression remained inscrutable. I see. And does this proposition have anything to do with your war against the Zorgan Empire? Zilara's eyes widened. You know about the war. A hint of a smile touched Ivanova's lips. Admiral Vakir, we've known about the Zorgans since they first entered the galactic stage. We've been tracking their conquest of the Orion Arm for decades, just as we've been tracking your alliance and your surveillance of our world. Zilara felt a chill run down her spine. The humans had known all along. All their efforts at secrecy and subterfuge had been for naught. She decided to lay all her cards on the table. Then you know the situation is dire. The Zorgans are on the march, and the Alliance is on the brink of collapse. We need your help, Admiral. Your technology, your strategic thinking, your sheer unpredictability. You may be our last hope. Ivanova was silent for a long moment, her eyes unreadable. Then she nodded. I can't say I'm surprised. We've long suspected it might come to this. She leaned forward, her gaze intense. But if we do this, Admiral, we do it our way. Humanity will not be just another cog in your alliance machine. We'll be partners, or nothing at all. Zilara hesitated, then nodded. Agreed. The Alliance Council has authorized me to negotiate whatever terms are necessary to secure your aid. Good. Ivanova sat back. Then let's talk on the ground. I'm sending you coordinates for our Central Command facility. It's time you saw what Earth is really capable of. The screen went dark. A few hours later, Zilara and her team stood in the cavernous hangar of the Terran Defense Command, a secret base hidden deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Sleek human warships lined the walls, their hulls covered in strange, shimmering energy fields. Armored troops with advanced weapons stood guard, their faces hidden behind polarized visors. And in the center of it all stood Admiral Ivanova, flanked by a dozen other human leaders in crisp uniforms. She stepped forward and extended a hand in the human greeting. Welcome to TDC, Admiral Vakir. As you can see, Earth has been preparing for this day for a long time. Zilara shook her hand, still marveling at the sheer scale of the facility. But why? Why keep all this hidden, even from your own people? Ivanova's smile was grim. Because we know human history, Admiral. We know what happens when our species feels threatened. We unite, we innovate, and we fight with everything we have. Her eyes gleamed with a fierce light. The Zorgans think they're the apex predators of the galaxy. They're about to learn what it means to be prey. She gestured for Zilara to follow. Come, let me show you our ace in the hole. I think you'll be impressed. As Zilara fell into step beside the human admiral, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy's most dangerous warriors had just stepped onto the galactic stage. The Zorgans wouldn't know what hit them. Project Prometheus. Admiral Zilara Vakir stared in awe at the massive ship looming before her in the cavernous underground hangar. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. A sleek, jet-black behemoth bristling with strange weapons and sensor arrays. Its hull seemed to drink in the light, and a faint, eerie glow emanated from within. Beautiful, isn't she? Said Admiral Ivanova, pride evident in her voice. The TDS Prometheus, the culmination of 3 decades of secret research and development. Faster, stronger, and smarter than any ship in the galaxy. Zilara shook her head in amazement. I can scarcely believe it. How did you manage to build something like this right under our noses? Ivanova chuckled. You're not the only ones who know how to keep secrets, Admiral. We've had cloaked shipyards and research bases scattered across the system for years, working tirelessly to prepare for the day when humanity would have to take its place on the galactic stage. She gestured for Zilara to follow her onto a platform that rose smoothly towards the Prometheus airlock. But the real breakthrough was in the field of artificial intelligence. The Prometheus isn't just a ship. It's a living, thinking entity with cognitive capabilities far beyond any organic crew. As if on cue, a melodic, androgynous voice echoed through the hangar. Greetings, Admiral Vakir, I am Prometheus, the central intelligence of this vessel. It is an honor to make your acquaintance. Zilara stared at Ivanova in shock. A true AI. But that's impossible. Ivanova raised an eyebrow. For the Alliance, perhaps, but humanity has always had a knack for achieving the impossible. Prometheus is the result of our most advanced work in quantum computing, neural networks, and psionic interfaces. It can outthink and outmaneuver any Zorgan fleet. As they stepped into the sleek, brightly lit interior of the ship, Zilara saw dozens of human crew members working at advanced control stations, their minds linked directly to the ship's systems via glowing psionic amplifiers. But that's not all, continued Ivanova, leading Zilara into a vast, dimly lit chamber. The Prometheus is armed with weaponry unlike anything the galaxy has seen before. She waved a hand, and a hologram sprang to life, showing a swirling, iridescent sphere. Singularity torpedoes, capable of tearing through Zorgan hulls like tissue paper and collapsing their hive mind networks. Another gesture, and the image changed to a pulsing, latticed beam. Phasic lances that can bypass any shield and disrupt matter at the subatomic level. A final wave, and a cloud of shimmering, microscopic motes appeared, and our piece de resistance, nanoswarm missiles. Once released, they'll seek out Zorgan biomatter and disassemble it molecule by molecule, turning their own biotech against them. Zilara felt a chill run down her spine at the sheer destructive power on display. The humans hadn't just been preparing for war, they had been preparing to annihilate their enemies with a ruthless efficiency that both awed and terrified her. Ivanova must have sensed her unease, because she placed a hand on Zilara's shoulder. I know what you're thinking, Admiral, that this is overkill, that we're going too far. Her eyes hardened. But you haven't seen what we've seen. The Zorgans won't stop until every last trace of free will and individuality in the galaxy is consumed. They cannot be reasoned with or deterred, only destroyed. She turned to face Zilara fully, her expression fierce. Humanity is ready to take the fight to them, to do whatever it takes to secure the future of the galaxy. The only question is, are you ready to stand with us? Zilara took a deep breath, then nodded. Yes, the Alliance stands with Earth. It's time to show the Zorgans what we're made of. Ivanova grinned wolfishly. Then let's get to work. We have a war to win. As the Prometheus hummed to life around them, Zilara felt a surge of hope for the first time in years. With humanity's ingenuity and tenacity on their side, the galaxy might just stand a chance. The Prometheus Gambit. The Zorgan homeworld was a seething mass of chitinous towers and pulsing biotech, a nightmarish landscape that seemed to throb with malevolent intelligence. In the skies above, the vast swarms of the Zorgan fleet hung like bloated locusts, their organic hulls glistening with slime. But today, an unfamiliar sight punctured the smoggy, green-tinged atmosphere. A sleek, angular vessel that seemed to drink in the sickly light, its jet-black hull emblazoned with a single word, Prometheus. On the bridge of the human supership, Admiral Ivanova stood tall and resolute, her dark eyes fixed on the viewscreen showing the alien horror below. Beside her, Admiral Vakir clutched the railing, her silver skin pale with a mix of fear and anticipation. Admiral Ivanova to all ships, the human commander spoke into the fleet-wide comm, her voice steady and sure. Commence Operation Hayes Gate. At her word, 100 sleek human vessels shimmered into existence around the Prometheus, their cloaking fields disengaging in a dazzling display of rippling light. On the flanks, Alliance ships dropped out of warp, their hulls adorned with human-designed shield generators and weapons arrays. For a moment, the Zorgan fleet hung motionless, as if stunned by the sudden appearance of the Allied forces. Then, like a disturbed hive, they surged forward, a roiling tide of chitin and plasma. Steady, murmured Ivanova, her fingers dancing across the command console. Let them come. As the Zorgan vanguard closed in, slavering jaws open wide, The Prometheus thrummed with power. Psionic amplifiers pulsed, nanoswarm missiles screamed from launch tubes, and Phasic lances stabbed out with blinding precision. The front line of the Zorgon fleet simply vanished, disintegrating into clouds of shimmering dust as human weapons tore through their hulls like a hot knife through butter. Confusion and discord rippled through the hive mind as the psychic feedback from the dying ships cascaded through their linked neural networks. But the Zorgons recovered quickly, drawing on the cold, machine-like logic at the core of their being. The swarm split, trying to envelope the human-led fleet from all sides and overwhelm them with sheer numbers. "Fire singularity torpedoes," ordered Ivanova. "Full spread." The Prometheus shuddered as dozens of swirling, iridescent spheres burst from its launch bays, streaking towards the oncoming Zorgon ships. Where they struck, reality itself seemed to warp and twist. Zorgon hulls crumpled inward like crushed soda cans, vanishing into pinpricks of impossible darkness. And then, the true masterstroke of the human plan revealed itself. From the twisted wrecks of the Zorgon ships, a new swarm emerged, not of living vessels, but of shimmering nanobots, Earth's secret weapon turned against its foes. Like a silver cancer, the nanoswarm spread through the Zorgon fleet, turning biosteel to sludge and engineered flesh to soup. The hive mind screamed as it felt itself being eaten away from within, its once iron grip on its thralls dissolving into chaos. In the heart of the Prometheus, the ship mind that was the vessel's true soul pulsed with fierce joy as it drank in the psionic echoes of the Zorgon's agony. All the cold, merciless logic of the machine, wedded to the savage, unrelenting fury of the human spirit, poured into the task of extermination. "It's working," cried Zilara, her silver eyes wide with wonder and horror. "We're winning." Ivanova only nodded, her gaze never leaving the tactical display. "This is only the beginning. We will not stop until every last trace of the Zorgon menace is scored from the galaxy." And with the Prometheus at the vanguard, the Allied fleet drove on towards the heart of the Zorgon Empire, ready to burn away the darkness with the fire of human determination. The war was far from over, but for the first time, victory seemed within reach. A new galactic order. In the aftermath of the Battle of Zorgon Prime, a strange quiet settled over the galaxy. The remnants of the once mighty Zorgon Empire, their hive mind shattered and their fleets in ruins, retreated to the shadows, seeking only to survive in a universe that had suddenly become far more dangerous than they could ever have imagined. On 1,000 worlds, the news spread like wildfire. The humans had done it. The unbeatable foe had been beaten. The unassailable fortress stormed and laid low. And at the forefront of this victory stood the Prometheus, the miracle ship that had turned the tide of the war. In the Grand Council chambers of the Galactic Alliance, Admiral Zilara Vaker stood before the assembled representatives of 100 species, her silver skin glowing with pride and relief. "My friends," she began, her voice ringing clear and strong, "we stand today on the threshold of a new era. The Zorgon threat has been defeated, and the galaxy is free once more. And we owe this victory, in no small part, to the courage and ingenuity of our new allies, the humans of Earth." A murmur ran through the chamber, a mix of awe, gratitude, and trepidation. The humans had proven themselves to be the galaxy's saviors, but also its most terrifying warriors. Many wondered what role they would seek to play in the new order. As if on cue, the doors to the chamber swung open, and Admiral Ivanova strode in, flanked by a dozen human leaders. She cut an imposing figure in her jet-black uniform, her eyes glinting with the same fierce determination that had carried her species to victory. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice strong and clear, "humanity comes to you today, not as conquerors, but as partners. We seek not to dominate, but to cooperate, to build a new galactic order founded on the principles of freedom, diversity, and mutual respect." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But let us be clear. The old ways will no longer suffice. The Alliance, for all its virtues, had grown stagnant and complacent. It was ill-prepared for the realities of a hostile universe. If we are to survive and thrive in the face of future threats, we must adapt and evolve. Ivanova's gaze swept the chamber, meeting the eyes of each representative in turn. That is why we propose the creation of a new galactic council, one in which every species has an equal voice and vote. A council guided by the principles of innovation, exploration, and proactive defense. A council ready to meet the challenges of tomorrow head-on. She extended a hand to Admiral Vakir, a gesture of friendship and alliance. Together, we can forge a new path for the galaxy, one that leads to a brighter, bolder future for us all. Will you join us? For a long moment, silence reigned in the chamber. Then, one by one, the representatives rose to their feet, their appendages raised in a gesture of assent. Zilara clasped Ivanova's hand, her eyes shining with hope and determination. "We will," she said, her voice ringing with conviction. "The Alliance stands with Earth, and with all who seek a better tomorrow." And so, a new chapter in galactic history began. There would be challenges and struggles ahead, to be sure. New enemies to face, new frontiers to explore, but with humanity and the Alliance standing together, ready to face whatever the cosmos might throw at them. The future had never looked brighter. In the skies above Earth, the Prometheus hung like a sentinel, its jet-black hull gleaming in the light of the sun, a symbol of the indomitable will of the human spirit and the dawning of a new age of wonders. The end.